Welcome to the Point. I'm your host, Eric Mitchell. It is Monday, and it's October 19th, 2020. But it's Monday. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. I know we did here in the Pacific Northwest, so hopefully you had the same thing. Good times. It's fall. The weather's cooling down, except for our people who live in really hot places. Your guys' idea of cool and my idea of cool are just two different things. So we're about 3 weeks away, less than 3 full weeks away from presidential election 2020. And it's a mess. We have the final debate this week, the final presidential debate. The VPs only debated once. Obviously, we had the town hall just last week. And boy, was that a disaster if you watched it. I don't know if you've had the opportunity or wanted to turn your stomach. But talk about things that will make you lose weight quickly. Watch those things. So we have a presidential debate coming up. It should be, there's no positive words, and we're trying to be positive. It's Monday. We got a great week of guests for you on the show. As always on Mondays, this is our political catch-up on current events show. So welcome to the Point. If this is your first time, we appreciate you tuning in. And like I said, I'm your host, Eric Mitchell. So that's what we have for you. So let's get to the news and talk a little bit about what's going on in the news. It's been interesting. President Trump has recovered from COVID, 100% apparently, and he's back to his rallies. Now, throughout the country, mayors and cities that the president will be attending rallies over the next 2 weeks have come forth and said they're worried that these events could become super spreader events, as 29 states are reporting record high COVID positive test results. It's a problem, folks. We were warned about this in the late spring, early summer, and here we are. It's fall. We were warned COVID could reblossom. They're seeing it in China. They're seeing it in Italy. Italy is preparing for the worst. Now we're at 219,000 Americans dead. Over 1 million have tested positive for it. And yes, some people are doing just fine off of it. We just saw this just the other day with Alabama head coach Nick Saban. Came back and 3 days later he was on the sidelines and caused a lot of controversy because he didn't wear his mask at all times. And mind you, he tested positive less than 4 days before his game. Now he did have 3 negative tests, which allowed him to play, but it goes back to the super spreader thing. We've seen this at Trump events or any events, but Trump events seem to bring the worst of every humankind because these folks are coming down with positive test cases and spreading them throughout the community. But let's play devil's advocate here. I could go to the mall in my community and see people bumping shoulder to shoulder just wearing a mask. So then I ask the question, why aren't we sending our children to school? If they can go there and hang out with their friends and crash into people like it's Christmas time at the mall in October, why aren't we in school wearing masks? Obviously, no one has a problem wearing masks now, so I think we could take the sensitivity chip of wearing a mask and start sending our kids back to school with the mask. How are we going to contain this virus? I don't know. Do we do the Joe Biden plan, which is to lock us in our houses? I don't know. Is that the answer? Obviously, the Trump plan, we don't know if that worked. We're still seeing positive test cases. You have arguments all over the place. Who do you trust? You just simply don't know. And I think that's the biggest problem we have with COVID-19 and how we move forward with it. It just becomes a gigantic problem because nobody knows the true answer. Whether you listen to the politicians, which I would always tell you, don't listen to politicians. They're not scientists. They don't go to school for that. These people are compulsive liars, and you know when they're lying, their lips are moving. That's my DC sports minute for you a second, because that's just how they are. But you have to be aware of them. And then they spend time attacking each other and saying one is in the bunker, one's in his basement. Well, being protective during COVID-19, there's nothing wrong. Wear your mask. But we've seen this as a rash of people have been boarding aircraft and then shocked when they learn that you have to wear a mask. Now, I don't know if it's the giveaway from the time that you start purchasing your plane ticket to while you're in the boarding area or boarding. I don't know if everyone else wearing a mask and saying you need to wear a mask is the dead giveaway. But apparently, lots of people in America struggle with this. Had a record number of people thrown off flights. Now, an interesting news to go back to I was talking about malls being full. TSA reported just yesterday, Sunday was the first time since March that over 1 million people passed through TSA nationwide. So does that mean it's a return to the airlines? I don't know. What I can tell you is the airline industry now is getting ridiculous. Some airlines are letting people sit in the middle again. American, I'm calling you out. United, I'm calling you out. Why? Are you that greedy that you need to take chances with all of us with COVID? How about leave the middle seat out? How about you quit charging for carry-on bags? Really? You're that hard up for money? Then your airline probably shouldn't be around. These are the things that we deal with on an everyday basis. If our country's trying to get back, these airlines either need a bailout, which is an interesting question that when we come back from break, we will be discussing, or they just need to do the right thing. Now, I personally felt that they've always overcharged for everything. Now, I fly Delta, and Delta doesn't charge me because I fly enough that I get my bag for free, and so does my family when they travel with me. So they don't have to worry about that, and I love my upgrades with Delta, one of the best airlines out there. Shout out, hashtag Delta is the best. Make sure you fly Delta. I swear, that wasn't a paid commercial, I promise. But anyways, folks, we got a heck of a show for you. Once again, I'm the guest today. It's me. I'm just going to do a couple segments here talking about what's going on in the world. Feel free to send me in questions and we'll try to answer them the best we can. So that's what we have for you. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about Dr. Fauci. Does he know what he's talking about? Or is he wrong? What's your thoughts? Put them in the comments during the break. I'd love to hear them. Talk to you guys after the break. Welcome back to The Point. Again, I'm your host, Eric Mitchell. This is our Monday edition. It is October, what is it today? October 19th. It's October 19th. It's October 19th for the rest of this evening. We have 2 football games underway right now, 2 Monday night football games. Hopefully the schedule gets better, but before we went to air, the North Carolina. The Carolina Panthers closed their facility, sent all their players home. They all did meetings remotely today after a unconfirmed positive test result. They did play yesterday on Sunday and did quite well, except, it's a tough season for Carolina. They ran into the Atlanta Falcons. They didn't run into the Falcons. I don't even remember who they played. It was just a very interesting game. They did their best. Interesting day in the NFL. But anyways, so that's what you have going on. You have 2 games going on. So after watching us, please go check out the show. We appreciate you. So before the break, I discussed Dr. Fauci. Dr. Anthony Fauci, one of the best doctors on the planet. Now, he's recently, I say this, the last 4 months he's been under a vicious attack. He appeared just last night on 60 Minutes, where he said he generally wasn't surprised that President Trump came down with COVID, wasn't shocked because the man refuses to wear a mask, doesn't really believe in it, and doesn't want to give any hints to his constituents that he have ever may be sick or fears COVID. Even though we have him on recordings, it still doesn't matter. Some of those folks just don't care. But this leads me to an interesting question. And this, I challenge my audience when it comes to this. Now, when we look at Dr. Fauci, he's a doctor. He knows what he's doing. But I've seen this spun politically, that he's doing this because it benefits him for us to be home. He doesn't know what he's talking about. These are the things that you hear. A doctor who's gone 2 years of school, but you trust a politician, a guy who said, let's grab him by the you-know-what, because that's the way he talks about women. I guess when you've had a stripper and porn stars and everything else that you just don't give a crap, then you have no problem having people believe that you also may know more than scientists and doctors. And I think that's the biggest problem we have in our country is Dr. Fauci's become the enemy of so many in an election year, when any other year he would be achieved as a genius and be up for a Nobel Prize because he's just doing amazing things at keeping our country safe. Now, he's been on the outs with the Trump administration because he doesn't agree with them, because they say one thing and he says the other. He's a doctor, they're not. Even Dr. Deborah Drix has even been seen walking away from that administration. Instead, they put somebody who's a yes man. That leads me to ask you this question. Is that what we really want? Is that what America needs to hear? When did we in the last 4 years decide that we just want to be told all the sweet and great things? Now, every press conference starts the same way. We're told how great America is, how great the Trump administration and the White House has done. Usually some insults towards the media and people who don't agree with the president, or, oh my God, there's actually something factual that he said or did. And it's just treated this way. Perfect example. And we're moving on from Fauci because my addition is Dr. Fauci's a doctor. Unless somebody can prove that anything he said has been incorrect and they know more, please send it to us and we'd love to. And if you would like to debate me on this, you're more than welcome. Please send that email to hello@tothepointtv.com and Jordan will make sure that you are put on air. We'd love to have a debate on this show. Now, my question as we move on Saturday, the president was in Michigan where he stood up and the crowd started chanting because, as you guys know, just last week, the FBI broke up a militia, the Three Percenters. The Three Percenters. God, there's so much material there all by itself. I could do a whole separate episode on the Three Percenters. So these militiamen wanted to kidnap the governor to force her to turn down the mask rules that she has and strict COVID-19 processes that she has enforced throughout the state of Michigan. It was 26 of the most despicable, fat, disgusting, white trash, white supremacists that you could ever see wearing their grunt style shirts proudly because, hey, if you're going to be racist, wear grunt style. Because that just seems to be the shirt you see everywhere, from Charlottesville just 3.5 short years ago on the front cover of Time magazine to every time that you see anything going on with white supremacists or trashy people, you're guaranteed to see a grunt style shirt. That's right, that's what you're seeing. Yeah, so people probably shouldn't buy from that company anyways. It's not made in America anyways, so why buy from it? Plenty of other brands that you can buy from. I'm more than happy to give you a list of veteran t-shirt companies if you'd like one. But the president said something concerning as the people said, lock her up. The president said, lock them all up, and giggled as he said it. Now, in a state where the militia has always been around and white supremacists run around like they have the key to the city, why would the president say that? We already know how he feels about white supremacy because I don't care what Trump supporter you are, that man clearly doesn't like saying bad things about white supremacists. And it makes sense because guys like Ben Shapiro and Jack Posock spend their time hating on Muslims in our country. Yes, people who support the president are so free and clear that they don't like you if you're not Christian, which is funny because, yeah. And two, if you're Muslim, oh my God, some of these guys, because they just think they're lily and white. And the Proud Boys, well, they're still upset because I love the LGBTQ plus community because they took over the Proud Boys hashtag on National Coming Out Day. So haha, Proud Boys, I told you, you probably needed a tougher name than the Proud Boys because that doesn't put fear in there. You're just all white supremacists, so just call yourself wannabe Nazis. I don't know. We could have a naming contest. Sissy lalas that live at home, trashy people, I don't know. We have a lot of names for you. We could just start there. But I don't understand why we are encouraging violence because governors aren't all Republican or all Democrat. See, we're all Americans. And who you vote for is none of anybody's business. That's why you go into a booth and do it. But lately people want to share who they're voting for. Like I really care who Chris Pratt's voting for or Beyonce. Nope, that doesn't sway my vote. Not one bit. And to add to it, in my house, we're actually taking it very serious. Well, we take election time very serious, but we also have a 16-year-old in our house who is very interested in what this election is about. We just went through the ballot together, and we will go through and I'll fill it out in front of her because I want her to see what the experience is like, because she will get to do it at the next presidential election. Think about that. So when we come to this violence behooving violence, these rallies are meant to be presidential rallies, not held on the White House South Lawn, not to be held where everybody's out here just being hateful, chanting, lock her up. Now, do Republicans understand that they have some scrappy people? I mean, they just had a representative from San Diego get sentenced to prison. He's GOP, but is that okay? Who knows? But what does that bring up? That brings up everything that the Republican Party seems to have is their obsession with Hunter Biden. We all saw it last week. Twitter and Facebook were viciously attacked by the right because of a New York Post article that went up that was nothing confirmed, but it went up and it caused a controversy like it always does. And everybody's favorite douchebag, Matt Gaetz, out of Florida, that guy just doesn't need to be. If you live in Florida, vote that guy out. He's a waste of space. If you are a Republican, you should be ashamed of that daddy's boy. And he's not his own daddy's boy. I mean, his dad helped him win his election, got him through his DUIs. Kid's never had to work hard in his life, and talks about how much he supports the military, but yet craps on us if you don't vote the way you should. So that's another interesting topic. But at the end of the day, guys like Matt Gaetz, all they do is cause controversy and they feed off of it. Much like most of the people who work in the White House. They like controversy, and this is why. Because they can spin chaos. And that's what they enjoy. Now see, our president, he's a reality TV star first. He's far from a leader. I wouldn't follow him to the back of a dumpster if that was where I could find $1 million. He wouldn't be the guy I'd be following. He's a piss poor leader, but he thrives on drama and spinning the news. That's why we've coined this phrase, fake news, because if he doesn't agree with it, even though it could be deadly true and the facts could be right there, remember, when Bob Woodward released his audio tapes, the White House and the president almost tried to deny that they ever took place or they were taken out of context. You can listen to them yourself and see that they weren't taken out of context, they were dead on. That's why I find it alarming that so many people don't pay attention and do your research. Part of voting, besides making sure you do it the right way, and make sure you do it on November 3rd or beforehand if your state's doing that, because you will have to stand in lines, is you need to make sure you are paying attention and look at the things that are being said. These people on both sides thrive on spin. They will spin it so you believe it. Simple movie to go check out, The Great Hack on Netflix. Go check that out, talking about Cambridge Analytica. They feed off weak-minded people. Now, you are not a weak-minded person. So don't fall for the games on these two candidates. Do your research on both. Find out the truth. Find out, does Biden not know who he is? Does Biden really live in a basement? I find that hard to believe. The man doesn't look like he's a basement dweller. Now, Trump, does he hate the military? Well, my sources say yes, he does. We've already got him on film talking about how much he hated John McCain. And he was so triggered he needed a ship moved when he was in Japan because the last name of the ship was McCain. That's our leader. Now, he's got over 44 generals that have served in the last 4 decades absolutely against him. Now, he does quote whenever he can that he has about 50 to 60 generals. Those all happen to be over 76 years old, all white except for 1 woman and 2 Hispanics. Yeah, good job there, dude. You're doing a great job. So once again, the crusty old orange dude has other crusty old white dudes to support him. Yay. So you don't have the military support. And at the end of the day, you have to leave. And he hasn't been too friendly about talking about peaceful transition because he thinks that the elections are rigged. It's all ridiculous, folks, at the end of the day. Do your part. Study. Don't fall for the spin. The media is going to spin it and however they want, and they're going to feed it. Half the drama that's fed comes from the very administration that denies it. That's the truth, folks. That's the bottom line. We come back from the break. We're going to close out today's show. We're going to be talking a little bit about, do some sports recap, talk about the COVID-19 outbreaks that are still taking place, and talk about World Series baseball because we do have a game set up now. We know when game 1 and we know who's playing. So stay tuned and we'll be back with you after the break. And welcome back to the Point. This is basically the show. It's a shorter show today on a Monday as we're just going over the news. No solo special guests today. We return with guests tomorrow. But from time to time, you're just stuck with me going over the news just like you are on some Thursdays. But we have a great sports episode coming up for you. So just touching on sports briefly, we talked about the World Series. The Dodgers went to a Game 7. Both teams went to Game 7s. So we have the Tampa Bay Rays versus the Los Angeles Dodgers. Shout out to Dodger fan and Rays fans across the globe that are excited about this matchup. It should be great. The Dodgers are fired up, and this young Rays team, if you've been paying attention to our sports show, was predicted to go as far as they have. So It was close. They almost didn't make it. They almost let those cheating Astros back. But tomorrow, I'm looking just so I can give you guys the correct time. Tomorrow at 5:09 p.m. Pacific will be the first game. Game 1 pitch with the Dodgers versus the not the Astros, the Rays. Ooh, Ray fans are bad. We have our 2 games going on tonight. In case you're wondering, there's a game going on right now, so you'll be able to check that out. But I did want to cover one thing because I know people will be mad at me for doing it. The Panthers lost to the Bears. They did not play the Falcons. They lost, and that team, that Bears team looks pretty good, shockingly enough. My Bears friends are out there like, yeah. Interesting that we do have some outbreaks still going on in the NFL. A lot of people are messaging me, asking me, do I believe that the season would be canceled or will we still have a Super Bowl? You know, an interesting thing. I was talking to a good friend of mine who attended the Pittsburgh Steelers-Browns game just yesterday. That, by the way, the Steelers ended up just beating the living tar out of the Browns, but that's a whole side note. Was able to go to the first home game. Well, it wasn't the first one, but the first one fans were allowed to attend at Heinz Field to watch the Steelers play. Now, they were kept in pods. He said that he was absolutely treated with the best he's ever been treated, and he felt safer than he did when he even went to a Walmart. Now, that should say a lot for you that these guys are taking it. He's safer at a football game with 20,000 people than a Walmart. Folks, we do need to figure out what's going on. But the NFL is making sure not just their players and personnel, but their fans are safe. That is the most important thing here. Now, this weekend coming up, the weekend of the 25th, is the weekend that the Big Ten start playing football, followed the following week by the Pac-12. This is where it gets interesting. Will we see outbreaks within college football? We've seen it with LSU versus the Florida Gators. The Gators head coach actually had to quarantine himself. Now, we've seen Nick Saban from Alabama, like I said earlier, on the sidelines 3 days after testing positive, but didn't show any symptoms. There's a lot going on. There's false positive tests that have popped up Friday morning for our friends over at the Indianapolis Colts. The Patriots had 4 players test positive, put them on the physically unable to play COVID list, and teams throughout the NFL are dealing with this. It is something that we're going to have to deal with, but we need to figure out these tests. Millions, billions of dollars are being spent on testing within sports that hopefully it bleeds down to us, Americans, that will be able to go about our lives. Because see, folks, we could do a lot of things, but we can't. We could seem to go to malls and to eat, but we can't put our kids in school nationwide because they'd have to wear a mask and have all of this distancing. Now, that distancing isn't maintained in malls or anywhere else, but in schools it would be. I just think we need a better answer. As for sports, it's going to be interesting. We do have a Thursday night football game. Finally, we have Thursday night footballs back. Great games throughout next weekend. I'm actually very excited about the games that we have, and it'll be exciting. So this week we have amazing guests, and I'm excited to share who our amazing guests are. So our guests this week include Rob Hatch. He's partnered with Chris Brogan. Going to bring you some excitement. You have him tomorrow, and we also have the wonderful musician who started an amazing platform to help students, younger students, not our age, younger students take music. It was booming before COVID. It's going great now, and Alan Melville will be here to share that with us. We're also going to learn about, have an amazing guest, and she's going to feature talking about why we need to return to the dinner table. Now, I know that's a topic that's near and dear to many of our hearts as we all enjoy sitting at our table. Now, here at the Mitchell household, after talking to our guest Darvini, we decided that we should probably sit at our table more, and it's really simple. Even if you go and get takeout, just sitting down, turning your phones off, and enjoying 30 to 45 minutes of just time talking. We spend so much time on our technology. It tracks everything we do. We stare at our TV because we've been quarantined. We've been stuck in our homes, and we can't go everywhere that we used to be able to go. Travel is something that becomes like, woohoo, feels like it's the 50s, and you're excited to get on the propeller plane to fly transcontinental. So Darvini will be joining us, and she's going to give some tips and tricks so you can enjoy some time with your family, because it's good. It's good. I know with Thanksgiving coming, you're like, I don't know if I want to sit and talk to my family, but you do. You should. Talking to people is important. Because we would have you at our house and sit there after you passed the test and didn't have a fever, you could sit there and talk. Just kidding. You're always welcome. Just call before you come. My wife's a good cook, but she'd be like, did you really just invite the entire show to the house for food? Don't just show up, because we probably won't invite you in, because you need to clear it with us first. We need to make sure we have enough. Got to go do Costco. Just kidding. I don't think anybody's showing up. Humor fails when everybody shows up here for food. Don't do that. But talking about getting back to the table. And of course, Thursday, we're back. We have a fun cast of characters joining me to talk NFL football, recapping this week. We don't have a game Tuesday, so we're recapping all of Week 6 action, which will be exciting, and talk about what's coming up in Week 7. Have some insight into the World Series, as we do have a game tomorrow night at 5 p.m. on Fox Sports. So I'm sure you'll have that excitement. So sorry guys, I'm a Yankee fan, so all I cared about was the Astros not in it. To be honest, I'm gonna go for the Dodgers. I have a couple good friends that are Dodger fans, and we will be in Southern California this weekend, so I gotta cheer for and support the SoCal folks. I don't like the Dodger blue, but I don't cheer for anybody who beats my Yankees, as long as the cheaters don't make it. That's why I cheered for the Rays, but now it's time to pull for the Dodgers. So we have that great show on Thursday for you. Friday, of course, Jordan returns. Got a good show, great show for you. Then I'm so excited for the week, and we're excited for you guys tuning in. Remember, you can always catch every one of our episodes on C-Suite TV. Just sit there, go to shows, look up To The Point, and you'll find us right there. So make sure you tune in if you miss any episodes there. Then if you want to break down and see any segments you have missed and don't want to hear my long monologues or my outros, you can go to our YouTube page and check out each hashtag for each day of the week, which is Military Monday, To The Point Tuesday, Women Wednesday, Throwdown Thursday, which is also our sports show, and Fan Friday. We talk about everything pop culture on Fridays. Go check that out, share with a friend, and also you can follow us on all our social media channels, so we appreciate you greatly. As always, if you have a comment, complaint, or you'd like to be a guest or know somebody like to be a guest, please email us at hello@tothepointtv.com. That's hello@tothepointtv.com. Now, if you DM us, we're doing our best to keep up with you, but the best way to message us is to message us via email so we can get back to that. We are overwhelmed with so many amazing guests. So many of you are sending folks our way. We're very appreciative, and we thank you so much. We mean it. Just like we said on Friday, we actually love that you guys support our show as we continue to grow every day. We are really close to 100,000 views on YouTube alone, folks, and it's because of folks like you. So, we also are planning Mr. Philip Paz to return to the show, so we'll have that announcement coming up very soon. Phil and I just got to narrow down times. The man's been taking a much-needed break because he is everywhere. So we're excited to have Philip back. We will have him back most likely as we get closer to Veterans Day. We just have to get past November 3rd. We will be bringing back Mo Vila and Cooper Lawrence, and Richard Herman will be returning. So we'll have some more coverage. Everything that you want to know in election 2020, we will get that for you. And we will be having exclusive coverage on election night. We'll be going live on Facebook. So stay tuned. We're going to have people jumping in and out of that all evening as we wait for the ballots to be counted. So you don't want to miss that November 3rd edition of To The Point. As always, I am your host, Eric Mitchell, and on behalf of the entire team at To The Point, we thank you for tuning in today. So have yourself a great evening. I'm Eric Mitchell. Be safe, be strong, be smart, and God bless America.
Get to the point, sit and enjoy. This is Eric Mitchell, he the host of the show. Get to the point, he is the voice. We needed this, something more. This a daily show that's known for politics and the sports. Ain't no limit to whoever you may see at this point. To celebrities, Eric he's beast in the joint. As a veteran, put him at ease, then anoint. Every conversation can never be disappointed. Whether tragic or it's happy, Eric will cover whatever's happening. Whether it be your gymnast, toe tapping, talking about nearly any athlete, not taking a back seat. You're never gonna get it past T. Everybody running from it, it's a stampede. But he's on it like this man who took that knee. Mr. Mitchell's way too crafty. Get to the